Speaking Human.
Today on Speaking Human, we pilot our X-Wings into the Star Wars universe for 90 mouth-watering seconds of mysterious wonder as we explore the power of teaser marketing. The Force is strong with this episode.
Speaking Human.
Welcome to Speaking Human, the official podcast of Monsters Unlimited, a creative agency with a business brain. I'm Shad Conley, Communications Director at Monsters Unlimited, and sometimes I like to cut open a tauntaun and take a nap inside. So warm.
That's pretty gross. And I'm Patrick Jebber, Creative Director and the resident Jedi Knight at Monsters Unlimited.
Yours is far less disgusting than mine. This is your first time checking out the podcast. Our goal on Speaking Human is to simplify complex marketing topics. We toss aside all the buzzwords and mumbo-jumbo to focus on how marketing can bring brands and people together. On today's episode, we revel in the majestic glory of seeing the Millennium Falcon fly again for a few fleeting seconds. Our topic? The marketing equivalent of getting a quick glimpse into a peephole. That's right, we're talking about teasers. So let's get into it.
There has been an awakening. Have you felt it? Side and the light.
What you just heard was an audio clip from the first official teaser trailer for Star Wars: The Force Awakens. That trailer has been viewed over 40 million times on YouTube, and at least half of those have come from us. We'll be discussing our reaction to that teaser trailer and the good and bad of teaser marketing in general. But first, Patrick, can you take our listeners on a light-speed trip through the Star Wars marketing juggernaut?
I think I can, Shad. I think I can.
That's great to hear.
My favorite description of the Star Wars franchise has got to be when it's referred to as an epic space opera. That sounds so prestigious, doesn't it?
Well, who doesn't love a good space opera?
I mean, I do. I personally love space operas. I go to them on a regular basis.
Well, you love operas and you love space. That makes complete sense.
Yeah, it does. Another easily Googled fact, the first movie was released in 1977, the year I was born.
Ooh.
Yeah, as everyone knows, it was wildly successful. It was followed by 2 beloved sequels, and then 3 prequels that started in 1997. Out of the 6 theatrical movies, not counting an animated Clone Wars movie, the box office has grossed over $4.5 billion on just the movies alone.
That's a lot of money. I did notice you didn't say that the prequels were beloved.
Yeah.
Anyway, move on.
Yeah. Toys alone in the franchise have generated in the realm of $12 billion. All in all, the whole franchise has made about $27 billion. That includes the movies, DVDs, books, toys, video games, the whole shebang. And then you've got the purchase of Lucasfilm by Disney in 2013 for a little over $4 billion. And the first movie of the new series, Under the Veil of Disney, will be released next year. That's 2015 on December 18th. How do you like that?
I thought it was a good trip, and man, a lot of billions at play there.
If you were to watch the old Austin Powers movie where he says $1 million, everybody laughs at him. That's pretty much how we feel about billions now.
It is true how desensitized we become to billions. We're like, 12 billion, pocket change. So anyways, normally at this point on the podcast, we discuss how we're looking at things, our experience with them. I don't think we generally need to do that today because, as you mentioned with your birthday, we're kind of the generation that grew up on Star Wars. For us, it was unavoidable. You're probably the same way. Tons of the toys, the movies, watched them over a billion times. Is that the same thing for you, Patrick? I assume that it was.
And I think the key there is we grew up on the original Star Wars, like Star Wars from the beginning. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think so too. And I think we'll get into this a little bit more here today. But, what's interesting about Star Wars is this is a strong brand that has a few different generations as its audience, coming at it from sort of different angles, which makes it kind of interesting, which also makes the new movie sort of a tough sell because you're working on 3 different demographics at the same time, which is challenging. So let's jump right in here. The new Star Wars teaser trailer, The Force Awakens. What'd you think of it, Patrick? And what does it do well? This 90-second spectacle that has the internet on fire.
The two of us know that we probably wouldn't be doing this podcast if we weren't psyched about the trailer. Since we generally try to look at the good marketing examples with Speaking Human, or at least stuff that piques our interest.
Yeah, we don't talk about things that we're like, let me tell you how much I hate this garbage.
Except maybe episodes 1 through 10-ish.
We changed our attitude a little bit since then.
Yeah. But I am really excited about this, and I have to say it has a lot to do with the director, J.J. Abrams. He's done some incredible work over the years, and I'm a huge fan of it. So the fact that his name is attached to this initiative is big for me as a Star Wars customer or consumer.
Abrams obviously has a good pedigree just from TV, from Lost and Alias and stuff, but then also what he did with the Star Trek franchise, which is pretty similar. He took something that was kind of dead in the water and brought it back to life.
Yeah.
Why did you like it?
Well, it starts off with slow, orchestrated music. It builds up quickly, showing snippets of new but familiar landscapes. As a teaser trailer, it shows some new elements, medieval lightsaber characters, who's that stormtrooper guy in the desert at the beginning. All things we haven't seen before, but they're shrouded in mystery.
I mean, really, you think about this teaser, you're only seeing probably like, what would you say, 6 to 8 clips from the movie?
But it only seems like 4 seconds because you see him so fast,
That's one of the things I think I noted about this. And in teasers in general, as we'll talk more about that, it gives you so much from so little. It's 90 seconds, but you're really only seeing maybe 30 seconds or so from the movie.
Yeah.
It's sort of grounded in the familiar, but it's also introducing these new and, like you said, mysterious things that have people, well, what's that? Why is this guy in a stormtrooper costume, but he doesn't have a helmet on? They're teasing what's to come, and kind of sparking this conversation so people start to stipulate about, what's the plot? What's up with this lightsaber with these things on the side? What's happening here? Which is exactly what you want a good teaser trailer to do.
Absolutely. And a little Millennium Falcon never hurt.
That for me was the moment. I thought this was a really good trailer, but once they kind of bust into that clip where they show the Millennium Falcon just take off and that familiar Star Wars theme starts to blare, that's where I was like, this is great.
The X-Wing fighters, though, over the water was pretty awesome, too, for me, because that was always one of my favorite ships when I was a kid.
I think what they did here was very strategic in that they're trying to relate it back to those original movies.
Mm-hmm.
And had more of that look and style of those original movies, so it would grab people like us from our generation who, like you said, grew up with the originals.
It's hard to do that in a trailer where you're not showing anything. So he's got to be able to show some familiar elements and then also throw in some new stuff that's going to create mystery,
Yeah. That's what I think it did exceptionally well. As we kind of hit on those prequels a little bit, much hated among certain circles, and it's kind of a challenge that the movie faces in having to overcome the big letdown those were for a lot of people, especially because I still have images in my mind of Darth Vader dropping to his knees and screaming, "No!"
And mine are of Jar Jar Binks, so.
Well, I totally blocked those. I had those erased from my mind altogether. Let's talk about teaser marketing a little bit, because this isn't just, there's the teaser trailer, but it's also a style of marketing. The whole idea of giving you a quick glimpse at something, kind of creating a mystery around something to draw interest from your target audience or your consumers. So what does effective teaser marketing accomplish? What are some of the keys to doing that right?
Well, primarily an effective teaser creates excitement. That's the ultimate goal. Usually, when done well, it does this by sparking a sort of curiosity in either the viewer or the reader. It's really that simple. I mean, and that complex, because it's really not that easy to do and do well. But keys of doing it right, I think, are exactly what they did. They, showed these snippets. They created a mystery about it, pulled in the audience, and they didn't show too much. I mean, because that's really the key. Don't show too much.
Yeah, when you watch something like this, it's so short and simple, but short and simple is hard. Anybody in marketing knows that. It's so hard to be concise. I say good teaser marketing basically does three things along the lines of what you said: anticipates, motivates, and conversates. That's right, 3 8s. Builds anticipation for what's to come. It sort of motivates people to want to learn more, and it sparks conversation. It gets people talking about whatever it is that you're teasing. It's one of those things that's definitely much more challenging than it seems on the surface.
Yeah, reducing it down and boiling it down to the basics is really, really difficult.
So then, what are some of the risks or challenges with teaser marketing?
Well, in my opinion, 3 words. Hype is dangerous. The biggest risk, I think, is letting the customer down. Hype is like a stick of dynamite in an old Western movie. You light that fuse and throw the damn thing. Then the excitement builds. You want to watch that dynamite blow up that old barn where the bad guys are hiding on the mountaintop, because they sometimes fled to the hills, But sometimes that dynamite doesn't explode. You're left with a dud, nothing. Or worse yet, your dynamite explodes too soon. It takes you and your posse out, maybe blows off your hand. All of those things are bad, obviously. Teasers are supposed to build up awareness. They're supposed to create hype and buzz and all that stuff, but we see it all the time. We've been burned or blown up, the old Western, because we bought into the hype mostly. We let our emotions get the best of us. We go, oh, this is going to be amazing. You see this. The teaser trailer or the teaser marketing is just the best we've ever seen. And then you go see it, or you go experience it, or you buy that product. And the way I see it is teaser marketing only works if what you're hyping is gold. Not in the literal form, obviously, right, Shad? Although that wouldn't be bad either, especially for those cowboys in the old Westerns I was referring to. But gold in the metaphorical sense, in this case specifically, this movie better live up to the audience's expectations. You're creating expectations now. They didn't have any before this teaser. And I really believe that people want more out of this movie than what they got out of the prequel trilogy. And ironically, that's what this movie also has going for it. It's coming off a series of movies that didn't get a lot of positive praise. So did you like my analogy of the old Westerns, by the way?
I'm going to say that's your finest moment on this show. I mean, that was your greatest minute right there. I think it's going to go down in the Hall of Fame. Well done, sir. And, I agree with you completely. That's in my notes here. That's the biggest risk. You have to deliver on the promise once you create it. If you look back, the response teaser trailer for The Phantom Menace, the first prequel, was tremendous. People thought it was going to be the best movie ever. They saw, Darth Maul, and they were like, whoa, this is going to be so good. And then they saw it, and it was a bunch of garbage. So you have to, once you create that height, you're raising the bar up, you better be able to jump over it. And not a lot of things can. It's so much easier to be disappointed in something after you think it's going to be really good. So you're right, hype is a very dangerous thing. That's why I would even say, we're talking about teaser marketing today, but use it pretty sparingly. There's not a lot of cases that you're going to want to whip this out. Another quick thing I wanted to mention with the risks, or more of a challenge, I guess, is you have to have a built-in audience already ready to listen. If you just come out with a teaser campaign, nobody knows you, you don't have an established audience, they're probably not going to care all that much. If you're not Star Wars, who has a huge base already in place where the teaser is a great idea to spark that interest again.
It's all about the base.
No trouble. So wrapping up here, what do you think businesses can learn from the Force Awakens teaser trailer?
You know how we always say, Shad, have fun while marketing your product or service?
I've never, did we say that? I've never heard that before.
It's not true here, Shad. It's not true. This is the time to not have fun. This is not the time to have fun. Don't have fun. This is the time you should be super serious about what you're selling, because don't promise more than what your product is. This is the one time you'll be crucified for it. Really, just ask George Lucas. You know, people hated him after the prequels because of the hype he built, and then the product didn't live up to their expectations. It was garbage. Seriously, teaser marketing is delicate, and there's that really fine line between creating buzz and excitement and then overhyping what you're selling to the point of damaging your brand. Just be careful. Movies get away with it all the time, primarily because you find out that you've been duped, but it's too late. You can't get your money back. You know, you're stuck when you've seen a movie. And now in the age of social media, just like word of mouth, telling everyone you know not to go see a movie on Facebook can definitely make an impact, especially when thousands of people are doing that exact same thing, you know?
Yeah. No, it's a good point. And, you know, for those businesses like movies that all they have to do is get you in the door and then it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, nothing matters once you buy that ticket. It's over. So you even see this on the internet with a lot of content marketing these days. Some people just write a good headline, get them to click on it, and then it doesn't matter what happens. Not a great thing for brands on a sustainable level. Not a great thing for your marketing altogether. You know, for me, the top thing I think you can take away here is just the power of what you can do by being concise. Just a few words, images, you know, video clips, how powerful that can be. You see that here as like a prime example. A little bit of music, it stirs all sorts of emotions within you. I mean, that's what great marketing can do. When you concentrate on distilling that or simplifying it, that hand that reaches out and grabs you and tears your heart out and was like, you need to see this movie, making a strong connection with very little, very simply. And, you know, another key part of it is you want to leave people wanting more. Seinfeld, there was the one episode where George decided he's always going to leave meetings on a high note. So whenever he says something good and gets a laugh, he just leaves. It's kind of, I don't know if it's a great lesson for life, but it is a good way to always leave it on a high note. You know, have people be like, I want more of that, not I want less of that. Everything's a lot easier with a good product.
Yeah, and a lot of people have it. You know, it's just whether you're selling widgets or a service or a movie, they're all really the same thing. So you just have to figure out where it fits in for people.
Yeah, and how to connect what you have with the people who want it.
Yes, sir. That's it for today's episode, Shad. You know, you can find every episode, 31 to be exact, of the podcast at speakinghuman.com. You can also subscribe to the Speaking Human podcast in the iTunes store. The same place you can find just about anything you want to on Star Wars, including a ton of podcasts devoted to the subject. Except for maybe the movies. Yeah, you can't find the movies there. Weird, huh?
You know what else you can't find? The original Star Wars movies without all that weird CGI they put in 20 years later.
Well, you can't. They're not even sold in the iTunes store.
I know. George Lucas eliminated it from history.
It's weird. Why would he do that?
I don't know. Anyway, you know, Patrick, you mentioned all our episodes can be found at speakinghuman.com, so if you want to listen to all of them in one day, we highly encourage you to do that. And then email us about it. Email us with your thoughts on the podcast or on the new Star Wars teaser trailer or any questions or comments you may have. Feedback at thinkmonsters.com. That's feedback at thinkmonsters.com. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode of Speaking Human. Catch you then, humans.
Speaking Human.
How long have you had these droids?
About 3 or 4 seasons?
They're up for sale if you want them.
Let me see your identification.
You don't need to see his identification.
We don't need to see his identification.
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
These aren't the droids we're looking for.
He can go about his business.
You can go about your business.
Move along.
Move along. Move along.